What if I told you the key to unlocking your team's full potential wasn't in strategies and key performance indicators, but in the conversations that you have every single day? In today's episode, we're going to talk about how powerful constructive discussions can transform your leadership, your team dynamics, and ultimately your team's success. Hey everyone, John here. 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 Welcome to the Leaders Leading Leaders podcast. Welcome everybody to the Leaders Leading Leaders podcast. I'm your host, John Espinosa. Today we are going to have a constructive discussion about constructive discussion and how it can transform your teams. It's performance season. If you're in a fiscal year, it's mid-years. If you're in a calendar year, we're getting ready for mid-years come June. Either way, everybody dreads it. And I'm sure you've been there. If you've been on the receiving end of a performance discussion, it's like, all right, what do I expect? What do I go in and do? Here we go. I don't know really what discussion's going to be about. If you're on the giving side of the performance discussion as a manager, as a leader, as a boss, as a business owner, what do you talk about? It's probably just as awkward for a boss to go into those performance discussions as it is for an employee or someone that's on the team to receive that information, but it doesn't have to be that way. And today, we're going to talk about some strategies that you can implement on both sides, whether you're the giver of the performance discussion or you're receiving on the performance discussion, and some things that you can do to prepare yourself for that discussion. So it's not just, yeah, here's the things you're doing well, John. Here's the things you need to work on. All right, good job. Get back to work. Have you been there before? I know I have. Or you're sitting across the table and they're going through your performance plan, and half of those things in your performance plan you haven't even done yet, especially if it's a mid-year. So you need to be prepared to ask questions. You need to be prepared to have a vulnerable discussion. And those are some of the things that we're going to talk about today. I'm going to give you some actionable strategies that you can take away from this episode. So get out your journals. I got my journal out. I want you to be an active listener, actively participating in this, and write it down. If you don't have a journal, use your phone notes. I love my notes on my phone. A notes app on my iPhone, excellent way for me to just get down a thought. That way I can go back later. And when I do journal, I got something to work off of. So the first thing really that we need to create, and we need to have this on both sides, and it starts with the leader, but it's creating psychological safety. And that word psychological safety, I think gets misused. It gets thrown around a lot. We hear it in like discussions that are going to bring about some type of corrective action, or you're going to have to correct some behavior or something performance that's not doing so well. But that's not what it's about. Creating psychological safety for me feels like going to talk to my mom. My mom has no judgment in the world, not just for me, but for anybody. That's just her demeanor. And for those of you out there, it might not be your mom. It might be a significant other. It may be another family member. It may be that go-to friend that you have. And if you don't have somebody that you have psychological safety with, that you feel like you can share anything without judgment, then it's probably time to look for that person. And the reason why I say that is everybody has to have an outlet. Everybody has to have that one person that you go to and you're free to share an idea with. A wild and crazy idea. You're free to share that things aren't going so well. You're free to share that, you know, my home life, it's a mess right now. It's a little crazy and it's affecting my performance at work. So that psychological safety is built around trust. And we've talked a lot about how trust builds the foundation for high performance teams. So it starts there and then it works its way into this concept of psychological safety. And a couple ways that I really use psychological safety is to foster innovation and foster this open flow of ideas, or if somebody is seeing something, that they say something. I think the culture today is centered around fear. And when we talk about performance, I don't want to bring up anything bad about me, right? I've heard this a lot. This sense of, I want to make sure that everybody thinks I'm okay. Everybody thinks John's doing great. When in reality, sometimes we're breaking down inside. We just aren't feeling it. We're not in the zone. We're not showing up our true selves. And we need to go to somebody. We need to have somebody that we have that psychological safety with, that we can go and explain. And if you as a leader can crack that egg, and I'm not telling you to be a therapist here, but I am telling you that you need to have some type of rapport, some type of relationship with your team where they feel safe. They feel able to come to you and open up with an idea or open up with something that they're seeing that just isn't right to them. Because if not, things get pushed under the rug. You're leading with a culture of fear. People are fearful to bring anything to you because of the repercussions that may occur. The organization is not going to last that long. A culture of fear is not a culture that anybody wants to be a part of. And if they're not already looking for a job, they probably soon will be, as soon as they get that sense. And if they feel like they're trapped, that's even worse. And if you're out there and you feel like you're trapped in a job, or you're looking for a job because you just don't have this culture of psychological safety, I don't blame you. To be very honest with you, I've been very fortunate to work with some great teams and some great leaders. And I've had a couple situations where I didn't have this culture established and I was looking. I didn't feel like I was grounded in that spot. It was 1 foot out and 1 foot in to the organization, and I wasn't producing probably like I should have been. So again, this culture of creating psychological safety is more than just being open and honest. It's really about performance, and that's what we're talking about here. In teams that are high performance teams have a culture of psychological safety. So as a leader, what are some practical ways? What are some strategies that you can implement or that you can use? One, I like to foster these open forums to discuss challenges. Whether it's a one-on-one meeting, whether it's a group meeting, whether it's sub-team meetings, whether it's Failure Fridays I've talked about, whatever that looks like, have the team bring you the challenges that they're experiencing. Whether it's a broken process or it's just a bad tool that they're using. I mean, we can get very simple here. Whatever that challenge may be, there has to be a conduit, a forum, and it can be a push-pull communication. You can push out, hey, we need some feedback, and then you can pull in that feedback through anonymous websites, just drop boxes that people put a comment or a challenge in. Don't put their name on and leave it in a good old-fashioned box, locked box. That's okay too, but you have to have a forum. You have to have a way for them and your team to share information. They have that psychological safety. And then once the issue or the challenge is identified, now we have to let them know that we're putting some steps in action to resolve it, to mitigate it, or to transfer that. Very, very important there. And then as leaders, you hear me talk a lot about modeling vulnerability. It's a big key culture thing for me. It's a value that I have. So be open and talk about your challenges. Talk about your mistakes. That's how you create psychological safety, because ultimately, if they don't trust you, they're not going to share with you. And part of that trust is built on how vulnerable you can be as a leader. So again, it's uncomfortable. Many of you out there listening right now are probably like, John, I can't be vulnerable. I have to, if I'm not strict, I don't command and control, we'll start letting the prisoners run the asylum. That's not the case. It's a story that we've told ourselves. It's a story of management and not leadership. Trust me, start small with creating this culture of psychological safety, and it will flourish. It will bloom. You will see wins. You will see people bringing you things that normally wouldn't happen. So that's the first one. And the 2 actionable strategies there are create some kind of open forum, and then you as the leader have to model that vulnerability. I want to take a quick break from our discussion today to mention a couple things. First of all, thank you for listening. Only 50% of our listeners are subscribed to our channel. Do me a favor, click on that subscribe button. It's going to allow our channel to continue to grow and give you updates whenever we get new episodes published. The second thing is our coaching program. People who want to work with me are looking to make a lasting change, level up, or get unstuck. I gave up on my dreams. I was a young parent, had to make a couple career changes. I went through some financial hardships. I had to learn how to flip my mindset and stay consistent. Our coaching programs are individualized one-on-one sessions where I will teach you a proven system and guarantee that you can reinvent yourself over and over again. If that sounds like something that interests you, head on over to thejohnespinosa.com and sign up to get more information. Now back to the show. So let's talk about the next one. And this is one of the ones that I really harp on and I coach on specifically for high performance teams is goal alignment. And goal alignment is important as you get high performers that are joining your team. Everybody wants to have 10s. Everybody wants that level 10 performer. So you have to be a level 10 leader in order to attract those people to your team. And it starts with goal alignment conversations. It's real easy for us to start going in different directions. Especially if you create this ideation culture, if you create this culture that I don't fear failure, I actually will celebrate failure, go out and try it, fail fast, and then let's learn from that and let's move on to the next. So making sure though that whatever is being tried or wherever the ideas are fit within the goals and the vision of the organization. And this starts with you. One thing that goal alignment does is it boosts performance. So you see this again in high performance teams that are performing at a very high level are aligned. They're in lockstep. Whether you're leading or whether you're trailing in that organization, everybody is pulling in the same direction. Very important when we talk about goal alignment. And then it ensures that everybody knows where we're going. They know what is going to make us success. They know what success even looks like, and they go achieve it. They go after it. So what are some applications here that I would encourage you, again, to implement? One, make sure that individual goals are in alignment with the overall team goals. This goes back to if you have somebody on your team that's looking at your organization maybe as a stepping stone, or maybe you're in an organization and you're like, yeah, I like my work here. It's a job. It pays the bills. Have you ever used that? Yeah, this pays the bills. That's where you got to kind of check. If you hear that as a leader, that's where you got to kind of sit back and get really, really curious around why they just said it just pays the bills. Because there's some type of misalignment. Their individual goals are not in alignment with the overall team goals or the company goals or your business goals, whatever that looks like. So again, sitting down, having that constructive discussion around where do you see yourself? How do you see misalignment? Where are you misaligned from where you want to go individually to where the company is going, and then work to get that back into alignment. Very important there. A great constructive discussion that you can have. How can we do this? The SMART method of goal development. This has been around for quite some time. So SMART is an acronym. It stands for be specific. Goals are specific. Make sure that you have a target in mind. How are you going to measure them? That's the M in SMART. Are they achievable? Remember, 90-day sprints. I work in 90-day sprints. So make sure that you got something out there, that dangling carrot. And then once you hit that dangling carrot, celebrate your win, celebrate the success, celebrate the failure of not getting there, lessons learned there, get back on track, and then start moving forward again to that next 90-day goal. Is it achievable? Keep moving that mark. The R, make sure that it's relevant. Again, this goes back to the overall vision as a leader. Is it relevant to your strategy? Is it in alignment with the strategy that your organization is going? Because if it's not, if it's off in right field, how are you going to get the individual goals in alignment with the team goals if your team goals are off balance anyways? It's going to be very difficult as a leader. So start with the overall strategy, make sure you're in alignment there, and then align everything else to that. It seems simple because it is simple. Don't overthink this. As leaders, we get to thinking about goals, we get to thinking about strategy, and we go right back, dive into the tactics. And that's where we get stuck. And that's when performance discussions become, these are the things you're not doing, these are the things you need to do, now get back to work. And then T in SMART is time bound. So set that I use 90 days. I work in 90-day chunks and 90-day sprints. You can even break that down into more micro increments into 30-day runs. But still, don't go past 90 days with a big deliverable, time-bound. I found that it helps people continue the momentum, stay motivated, reach a goal, get some success, and then go on. Or get some failure, learn, and then go on. So that's the second one around goal alignment conversations. Important to have, don't just have them during performance discussions. Program these in throughout the year, especially if you start hearing things like, it's just a job. The third piece here is performance coaching conversations. So here it is more of a formal type performance conversation, but it doesn't need to happen just twice a year. These performance discussions, I had one today. It was an individual who was coming by my office and knocked on the door. We were talking and a job opportunity got brought up. It was sent out in an email blast, and this particular individual, he was intrigued. He liked what he saw on this new opportunity. He'd only been in his current position for a little less than a year and just really told himself, I'm not going to do that to my organization. Had a lot of integrity when he said that, very high trust. And I asked him, I said, well, how comfortable are you with speaking about this to your manager? Not that you're going to take the opportunity, but just the simple fact that, I looked at this job and there's some areas there that interested me. Those are what performance conversations look like. Those are the things that as an employee, you need to bring to your leader because those are your individual goals. It's not just another paycheck. A good leader will want it to be more than that, more than just every other Tuesday or every other Friday or once a month, whatever your pay frequency looks like. So again, have those performance discussions and be open to an employee coming in and say, yeah, I was looking at another job. Doesn't mean that they're going to take that job, but something intrigued them. And then get curious and start asking questions about that. So again, we need as leaders to adopt this coaching mentality over evaluative feedback. For example, it's being curious rather than these are the things you need to improve. Different conversations, more constructive than deconstructive. And then again, by having these coaching conversations, what are you doing? You're empowering and motivating employees to continuously improve. So back to my example earlier of somebody taking a look at a job. If I was their leader and they came to me and they said, you know what, I was looking at a job posting and it intrigued me. First question I would ask, what was intriguing? Allow them to respond. Maybe it was more project management oriented. Maybe it was in a particular area that they went to school in or that they have a hobby or interest in just naturally. That's where you're going to get to know, back to that psychological safety. If you have that established, they will open up. Now, here's the development opportunity for you. Where can we align ourselves, your individual goals with the team goals to give you some experience in that area? Because again, our mantra here in the Go Be Great community is to get you to where you want to go. And in order to do that, I have to understand where you want to go, what intrigues you, what excites you, what motivates you, what makes you tick. So in those situations, it's very, very important to understand how to motivate and empower employees to continuously improve. So an application that we can use here when we talk about performance coaching is using open-ended questions to help others develop their own solution. So back to the example I used with the employee who was looking at another job. Something intrigued them in that job posting. If I didn't get curious and instead as the leader or as their manager, I got very defensive and asked, why are you looking for another job? Remember, we talked about how to ask questions. Why, never a good word to use, puts people on the defensive. You've immediately diminished your psychological safety, and now they're not going to bring that to you next time. Instead, ask an open-ended question. Tell me more about what intrigued you about that job. Tell me more about what interested you about that job opportunity. Listen, and then let's align. So again, it develops their own solutions. They're figuring it out for you. You don't have to know all the answers as a leader, especially when we talk about these constructive discussions. Have it be the most interesting person as the employee, and you're the most interested person as the leader in the room. So again, and this goes both ways. If you're an employee and you want to learn how you can add value or you want that next promotion, be the most interested person in that performance discussion or that constructive discussion. Don't be the most interesting. You're there to fact find. You're there to find information about what you need and where you can add value to the organization. Open-ended questions, very, very powerful. And then the other application here are scheduled sessions, and we focus them around development and improvement rather than just evaluation. So again, back to having coaching conversations rather than just evaluative feedback. I look for these opportunities, whether it's a performance discussion, it's a quarterly discussion, a project kickoff. That is my opportunity to learn about where others are in the organization and how they see themselves fitting into the overall team alignment. Every one of those opportunities is an opportunity for us as leaders to evaluate and then influence. Very important there. I love those applications. I implement them quite often. So let's recap here real quick, and then we'll finish out this episode because I want you to go implement these strategies tomorrow. 1, create that psychological safety. Make sure that it's an area where others feel open to provide you information, and then also it creates that culture of innovation. Goal alignment conversations. Make sure that you're having constructive conversations around goal alignment. Are the individual goals in alignment with the overall team organizational goals? And then last, performance coaching conversations. This is where we're going to put everything together, have coaching over evaluative feedback, and allow those open-ended questions to help develop solutions for the ones that we're leading. Last note I want to end on is I encourage you to keep conversations constructive because you're going to see your leadership elevate. I believe in you. Go implement one of these tomorrow. Go be great. Talk to everyone later. Bye. If you like what you're hearing, do us a favor, click on that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, or leave a comment. That lets us know that what we are putting out benefits you. If you want additional information or resources or learn how to work with me, head on over to thejohnespinosa.com because when we become better versions of ourselves, it helps us get others to where they're going. Go be great. Talk to everyone later.